Never quitting because, again, it was this thing that just had to come out of me. So it was never something that I had to put on. It was never something that I was like, I have to do this. It was like, it just has to come out. You know, it's there. So it's just whether or not I allowed it to be the channel. But the thought of it being hard, absolutely. I just got my first draft back of my book, and it's all my edits from my editor, and I wrote the book maybe 2 years ago, you know, and I'm looking at it from who I am now as an evolved being, and I've grown so much. I'm like, oh my God, I want to change everything. I want to change everything, you know, because I've learned so much and so much has shifted, and I'm reading it, but I can't change it. It's that thing of surrendering to the art and surrendering to what came through and trusting that it's enough and trusting that it's going to hit whoever it hits, even if it's one person, you know. So the quitting and that thought of the fear, it comes in when I'm out of alignment with Source. If I'm in alignment with Source, then it's like, oh, right, I trust that it came through for a reason, whatever reason that is. I'm surrendering, I'm like letting go, my ego's not attached. When my ego's attached, my ego just wants to look good. So, of course it's in fear. It's like, oh, are you sure you want to put that out? What if you get a bad review? What if this happens? What, you know, go on down a deep rabbit hole with that forever. But what's in that book could change one person's life, which could go on to change thousands of lives. Like, I always think, so someone like MLK, right? Nelson Mandela, like we were just talking about. One book that they could have read when they were young could have shifted everything about how they existed in the world, and look what they created, right? So those are perfect examples. We all know who they are. They've both created these incredible movements underneath them as their legacy, and it could have been one conversation, one book, one enlightening thing that they heard, one song. So what's that one thing within you that could shift one person, that could shift the world? Reading for personal growth is everything. I grew up in a small town. I grew up with parents that had me working at 12, and I always had an amazing family and support system, but I never had mentors and people that I could look up to and say, hey, I have this question, what should I do about this? And I found books at a young age. I found Tony Robbins at 8, and I found his books on tape through my mom, and that changed my life. Tony was my first mentor. I've still never actually met him. I've gone to a lot of his events, but that created a rabbit hole for other books, because I was like, man, reading his book is like sitting and having coffee with him for 6 hours and getting all of his best information. Then I found another book of a guy that he mentioned in there, and that led me to another one. And I think now I've read over 1,000-something books, and I continue to read a book a week, because books to me are just endless sources of wisdom. Even if there's only one thing in there that I take away and actually use in my life, I have grown and expanded what's possible for me because I have someone else's wisdom and perspective in my life. And I think it shows a sense of humility as well, because if we're constantly curious, it's also the sense of I don't know everything. And I think that's a really important trait to have, because I have a lot of friends who know a lot. I have a lot of family members who know a lot and are really smart, they're geniuses, but their knowing gets in their way. They kind of get stuck in what they know because they're not curious to what they don't know. So reading just kind of instills this endless curiosity, this endless sense of wonder for the world, this endless sense of there's got to be something else. And that curiosity is a gift, and it's so fun. And I think it's anyone who says that they want to live an incredible life or a life of happiness or greatness, or they want to leave a legacy, read. Because there's thousands of people who have already done that. And we can get their knowledge and their wisdom in a day or a week or a month, however long it takes you to read a book. And it's free. You can go to the library and get it, which is like, that's magical. 18, I would say, be you and don't worry what the world thinks. Because I think at that age especially, I was in between, that young adolescence and then adulthood. I was trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted, and the world was so loud in my ears, and I was in the music industry, so I was taking all that in and felt like I had to fit in, and I totally wasn't being myself. Totally wasn't being myself. So I would just say, be yourself and don't worry what the world thinks. Because who I am is enough. I was put here for a purpose, exactly as I am, not as you want me to be or you want me to be, but just how I am. And I need to share that and show that and shine in the way that I was brought here to shine and in the way that only I can shine, because one person might need to hear what I have to say, or one village might need the work that I can contribute. So just be me.
Thank you for watching A Wise Way. Subscribe to stay updated, share to pass the knowledge, or view our other videos on the left.